Bookaholics, so welcome back to another video. Today I am bringing you my entire owned TBR. Every year I like to go through all of the books that I own that I have not read and somewhat evaluate my life choices, but also just how many of these books I'm actually going to get through. I have unwholesome books, I have rearranged my shelves, and I have revamped my jars. For those of you who don't know, I do use TBR jars to help me pick what I'm reading each month. I have 4 jars currently. I am also potentially going to be making a separate spooky season jar and winter Christmas holiday season jar. They have not materialized yet, so I'm going to stick with the 4 jars that I have and we'll go through what books are in each jar. The jars as they currently stand are, I have a digital books jar which has my ebooks and audiobooks in it, my Spanish books TBR which is all of the books that I own that are in Spanish. For those of you who don't know, I am bilingual. I do read in both English and in Spanish. I have a smaller selection of books in Spanish and therefore it means that Spanish books were coming up less when they were in the main TBR jar. So I made a separate jar for them, and whenever I'm feeling like I want to be reading something in Spanish, I pick one from here. I have my main TBR jar, which is all of the books that are either standalones or series that I don't want to binge. I normally binge read series, but there are some series that are either I'm not sure about enough to be like wanting to commit to reading all consecutively. There are some series that are really dense, that are just too dense for me to be able to binge all at once, etc. So they are also in here. Also first books in series that maybe I picked up in a charity shop and I am unsure yet if I want to purchase the rest of the books in the series. They are also in here. And then finally, my favorite jar of the lot is my series jar, and this is exactly as it says on the tin. It's all of the series that I own that I want to binge. I'm going to start out with my digital books as it's the easiest one for me to forget about because I don't have the books here tangibly. So we're going to go through all the books that are in my TBR for my digital books first, and I have both audiobooks and ebooks. So they are mostly ebooks, so if I don't specify, it's an ebook, and I will only specify when it's an audiobook because there are so few. I'm going to start with my contemporary books, of which I only have one, which is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I also have one erotica novel, which is Learn My Lesson by Katie Roberts, and this is the second book in the Wicked Villains series. Now moving into epic fantasy, we have Cold from the North and The Darkest Dusk, both by D.W. Ross. This is the first 2 books in this trilogy. A King's Radiance by L.R. Schultz. Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. The Broken Heart of Aurelium by Alex Robbins. Fortune's Fool by Angela Board. The Ember Child by Anthony Mitchell. Blood of an Exile by Brian Naslund. The Maleficent Seven by Cameron Johnson. The Watchmaker's Daughter by C.J. Archer. The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan. Illborn by Daniel T. Jackson. Elastaway by Darcy Little Badger. Season of Albadan by Elam Marche and Christopher Warman. Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. The Gauntlet and the Fist Beneath by Ian Green. Pursuit of Shadows and Siege of Shadows by J.A. Andrews, the second and third book in the Keeper Chronicles. Undertakers Incorporated by J.C. Compton. Troop of Shadows by Jennings Zabrinsky. Queen of the Conquered by Kaysen Callender. A Midwinter's Tale by Lily Hayward. Hallam and Amara by L.L. McRae. These are books 2 and 3 of the Linaria Chronicles. Mr. Darcy's Dragons by Maria Grace. The New Moon's Arms by Nello Hopkinson. The Half Killed by Quemby Olson. Never Die by Rob J. Hayes. Elior by Rowena Andrews. Tethered Spirits by T.A. Hernandez. A Touch of Light by Tiago Abdallah. Shadows of Ivory by T.L. Greylock and Bryce O'Connor. Gunmetal Gods, Conqueror's Blood, Elder Epoch, and Death Rider, all by Zamil Akhtar. Books 2, 3, and a companion novella in the Gunmetal Gods series. The Icefjord series by Zaya Feli, consisting of Teeth and Claws. The Devil's Consort and The Queen's Rival, both by Anne O'Brien. Moving into horror, I have one book, which is Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Moving into literary fiction, I have Trust by Hernan Diaz. Miss Loverman by Bernardine Evaristo. Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. And I have the audiobook for Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. The only non-fiction that I have in here is Unwell Women by Eleanor Cleggan, and I have 4 romances, the first one being the audiobook for Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, and I also have the entire Written in the Stars trilogy by Alexandria Belfler, which consists of Written in the Stars, Hang the Moon, and Count Your Lucky Stars. And finally, the only sci-fi that I have on here is The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. Now moving into my Spanish books jar. I have 3 books by popular Spanish author Ildefonso Falcones, which are La Mano de Fátima, and then Catedral del Mar and its sequel, Herederos de la Tierra. I have 7 books by popular Roman historical author Santiago Posteguillo. The first ones I have are the Africanus trilogy, which consists of Africanus, Las Legiones Malditas, and La Traición de Roma. I have the Trajano trilogy, which consists of Los Asesinos del Emperador, Circo Máximo, and La Legión Perdida. And finally, by this author, I also have Y Julia Retó a los Dioses, which is the second book in the Julia Domna series, the first one I read in 2023. I have Los Hijos de la Diosa Huracán by Gaina Chiviano, El Mapa del Fin del Mundo by Ignasi Serraima, La Llave Maestra by Agustín Sánchez Vidal, El Ángel Perdido by Javier Sierra, La Catedral de la Luz by Rubén Laurín, and finally I have La Villa de las Telas by Anne Jacobs. Now moving into my main TBR jar, I'm going to start with my mythology book. Helen of Troy by Margaret George, American Indian Stories, Legends, and Other Writings by Zitkala Shah, African Myths of Origin, Troy by Stephen Fry, Legends of Arthur by Richard Barber, The Rani of Jhansi by Prince Michael of Greece, The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, the complete collection of the Once and Future King series by T.H. White, which consists of The Sword in the Stone, The Witch in the Wood, The Ill-Made Knight, The Candle in the Wind, and The Book of Merlin. And finally, the first of David Gimmel's Troy series, which is Lord of the Silver Bow. For historical fiction, I have 5 Louis de Bernier's books, the first one being Captain Corelli's Mandolin, the entire Latin American trilogy, which consists of The War for Don Emanuel's Nether Parts, Signor Vivo and the Coca Lord, and The Troublesome Offspring of Cardinal Guzman. And finally, I have Birds Without Wings. Continuing on with other historical fictions, I have The Midwife of Venice by Roberta Rich, Pompeii by Robert Harris, The Girl with the Painted Face by Gabrielle Kim. The first 3 books in Con Iggulden's The War of the Roses series, consisting of Stormbird, Trinity, and Bloodline. The Last Conquest by Beric Coates. I have 2 books by one of my favourite authors, which is C.J. Sampson, and I have The Winter in Madrid and Dominion by this author. I have some historical fiction murder mysteries, which are The Parliament of Spies by Cassandra Clark, Inquisition by Alfredo Colito, The Ashes of London by Andrew Taylor, and The Sweet Smell of Decay by Paul Lawrence. The Book of Fires by Jane Borrowdale, The Taxidermist's Daughter by Kate Moss, The House at Riverton and The Distant Hours, both by Kate Morton, and finally Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Moving into my others shelf, thrillers, contemporary, literary fiction, and the like. I have 5 books that are either authored or co-authored by Nora Roberts, or Nora Roberts writing as J.D. Robb, and they are The Collector, The Witness, Whiskey Beach, an anthology that they co-author, which is Out of This World, and another anthology they co-author called Bump in the Night. I have 2 books by Amor Towles, which are Rules of Civility and also The Lincoln Highway, and 3 books by Mitch Albom, which are The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, Tuesdays with Maury, and For One More Day. I have 1 literary horror collection of short stories, which is Mouthful of Birds by Samantha Schweblin, and I have 2 literary fiction novels by Colson Whitehead, which are The Underground Railroad and Harlem Shuffle. I have a Sherlock retelling, which is The Beekeeper's Apprentice by Laurie R. King. I have 3 books by Friedrich Bachmann, which are A Man Called Ove, My Grandmother Sends Her Regards and Apologies, and Britt Marie Was Here. The Color Purple by Alice Walker. The Garden of Evening Mists by Tan Tuang Eng. Paula by Isabel Allende. And finally, I have 2 Marcus Zusak books, which are I Am the Messenger and Bridge of Clay. I have 4 classics, which are 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, the Cosmic Trilogy by C.S. Lewis, which consists of Out of the Silent Planet, Perelandra, and That Hideous Strength, a collection of short stories by Ray Bradbury, which is I Sing the Body Electric, and The Waves by Virginia Woolf. For non-fiction, I have 2 books by Antonia Fraser, which are The 6 Wives of Henry VIII and Marie Antoinette, Educated by Tara Westover, Attila the Hun by John Mann, The Story of Che Guevara by Lucia Alvarez de Toledo, The Spanish Civil War by Paul Preston, My Brief History by Stephen Hawking, This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay, and Becoming by Michelle Obama. For fantasy and sci-fi, I have Anansi Boys by Neil Gaiman, The Resurrectionist by James Bradley, The Court of the Air by Stephen Hunt, The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson, The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan, Hyperion by Dan Simmons, The Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich, The Testament of Gideon Mack by James Robertson, The Wizard of the Pigeons by Megan Lindham, The River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty, The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro, The Reapers Are the Angels by Alden Bell, The Demonologist by Andrew Piper. I have 2 books by Michael Crichton, which are Airframe and Prey, Perdido Street Station by China Melville, The War of the Flowers by Tad Williams, The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo, The Long Earth by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter, Spellbound and Ever After by Nora Roberts, Runes of the Earth by Stephen Donaldson, Legacy of the Brightwash by Crystal Matar, The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, and 2 books by Alistair Reynolds, which are House of Suns and Century Reign. And now for the series, we have the Lycanius trilogy by James Islington, consisting of The Shadow of What Was Lost, An Echo of Things to Come, and The Light of All That Falls. The Age of Darkness by Stephen Arion, consisting of Battle Mage, Blood Mage, and Chaos Mage. The Well of Echoes by Adrian Tchaikovsky, consisting of The Tiger and the Wolf, The Bear and the Serpent, and The Hyena and the Hawk. The Tide Child trilogy by R.J. Barker, consisting of The Bone Ships, Call of the Bone Ships, and The Bone Ships Wake. The Chorus of Dragons series by Jen Lyons, consisting of The Ruin of Kings, The Name of All Things, The Memory of Souls, The House of Always, and The Discord of Gods. The Earth's Children series by Jean M. Auel, consisting of Clan of the Cave Bear, The Valley of Horses, The Mammoth Hunters, The Plains of Passage, The Shelters of Stone, and The Land of Painted Caves. The Boudica Quartet by Manda Scott, consisting of Dreaming the Eagle, Dreaming the Bull, Dreaming the Hound, and Dreaming the Serpent Spear. The Rook and Rose trilogy by M.A. Carrick, consisting of The Mask of Mirrors, The Liar's Knot, and The Labyrinth's Heart. The Themis Files by Sylvain Nouvelle, consisting of Sleeping Giants, Waking Gods, and Only Human. The Loki duology by Joanne M. Harris, consisting of Testament of Loki and The Gospel of Loki. The Articles of Faith by David Ragg, consisting of The Black Hawks and The Righteous. The Serpent Gates series by A.K. Larkwood, consisting of The Unspoken Name and The Thousand Eyes. The Wormwood trilogy by Tade Thompson, consisting of Rosewater, Insurrection, and Redemption. The Drowning Empire by Andrea Stewart, consisting of Boneshard Daughter, Boneshard Emperor, and Boneshard War. The Swords and Fire trilogy by Melissa Caruso, consisting of The Tethered Mage, The Defiant Heir, and The Unbound Empire. The Nevernight Chronicle by J. Christoph, consisting of Nevernight, God's Grave, and Dark Dawn. The Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee, consisting of Jade City, Jade War, and Jade Legacy. The Dream Blood duology by N.K. Jemisin, consisting of The Killing Moon and The Shadowed Sun. The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu, consisting of The Grace of Kings, The Wall of Storms, The Veiled Throne, Speaking Bones. The Tenseret series by Neon Yang, consisting of The Black Tides of Heaven, The Red Thread of Fortune, The Descent of Monsters, and The Ascent to Godhood. The Languedoc trilogy by Kate Moss, consisting of Labyrinth, Sepulchre, and Citadel. The Of Blood and Bone trilogy by John Gwynne, consisting of A Time of Dread, A Time of Blood, and A Time of Courage. The Elements of Cadence duology by Rebecca Ross, consisting of A River Enchanted and A Fire Endless. The Blood Gift duology by Annie Davenport, consisting of The Blood Trials and The Blood Gift. The Reindeer People by Megan Lindham, consisting of The Reindeer People and Wolf's Brother. The Lilith's Brood series, or the Xenogenesis series by Octavia E. Butler, consisting of Imago, Adulthood Rights, and Dawn. The Broken Empire trilogy by Mark Lawrence, consisting of Prince of Thorns, King of Thorns, and Emperor of Thorns. The Magicians trilogy by Lev Grossman, consisting of The Magicians, The Magician King, and The Magician's Land. The Ascension trilogy by Kate Arsenal Rivera, consisting of The Tiger's Daughter, The Phoenix Empress, and The Warrior Moon. The Legacy of the Lost Maid trilogy by K.S. Veloso, consisting of Jaeth's Eye, Aina's Breath, and Sapphire's Flight. The Cousins O'Doyer series by Nora Roberts, consisting of Dark Witch, Shadow Spell, and Blood Magic. The Siege trilogy by K.J. Parker, consisting of 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City, How to Rule an Empire and Get Away with It, and A Practical Guide to Conquering the World. The Cementerio de Libros Olvidados, or Cemetery of Forgotten Books by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, consisting of La Sombra del Viento, or The Shadow of the Wind, El Juego del Ángel, or Angel's Game, El Prisionero del Cielo, or Prisoner of Heaven, and El Laberinto de los Espíritus, or The Labyrinth of Spirits. And the final series I have on my TBR this year is the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik, consisting of Temeraire, also titled His Majesty's Dragon, Throne of Jade, Black Powder War, Empire of Ivory, Victory of Eagles, Tongues of Serpents, Crucible of Gold, Blood of Tyrants, and League of Dragons. Those are all of the books that are on my TBR. I actually have no idea how many books that is, but it's a lot, and I'm super excited for the vast majority of them, curious about the rest of them. I, as you have noticed, have a majority fantasy TBR. I'm really excited to be getting into more fantasy, but I would like to actually be getting through the other genres at a better pace than I have been. I've basically given myself now a ban of buying literary fiction or historical fiction until I have read some, because I don't read them at the pace at which I buy them, unlike I do with fantasy. You may have noticed that there are, on the fantasy side of things, very few repeats from last year, but I tend to get through my fantasy pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. It's the rest that I just don't get round to. So I need to work on those. It's my priority this year to be reading through more of the rest of the genres that I read. So I definitely going to be needing to pull more from the jars. I also think that instead of pulling 2 series from the jars, I'm going to pull 1 series, and then if I've still got like half the month left, I can pull another series out. But I don't want to be rushing my series as much as I have been, because I just want to consume them all. I need to slow down a bit, so maybe not 2 series every month, but I can still read the series that I want to read. And yeah, I'm really excited to be getting through this TBR. So hopefully you will enjoy watching me work my way through it as well. But that is all from me for today. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I will hopefully catch you in another one soon. Bye, folks.